Okay, everyone, this is Final Draft, and you are listening to Everfree Radio, and I'm here today with...
Crescendo.
And today we have an awesome guest for you, Ashleigh Ball, the voice of Rainbow, Dash, and Applejack. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on. Hi.
Well, I can just say that we're really excited to be able to get you to record today. And I wanted to start with a quick question. How did you become involved with My Little Pony? How did you end up at DHX?
Well, I've been doing this whole voiceover gig for about 5 years, I guess, and it just came up through my agent that there was an audition for the new My Little Pony series, and I was pretty excited to audition for it, and I just got the part from maybe a great audition, I hope.
Well, you know, when we've talked to other voice actors in the past and voice actresses, they've said that when they auditioned for their roles on the show, they actually auditioned for a whole string of characters. Was there a character that you auditioned for that you expected that you were going to get?
You know what? Actually, I auditioned for Spike, and I was almost sure that I was going to get cast as Spike because I got a call back for Spike as well. And yeah, I was kind of blown away that I got cast as two ponies. Like, that was pretty crazy to hear. I was a little disappointed that I didn't be cast as Spike, but Kathy Westlick does a grand job.
Oh, yeah. We've spoken with her. She's amazing. She's so talented.
Yeah, she's awesome. I had that little baby dragon voice, and I wanted to use it, but I guess it turned out better for the Rainbow Dash kind of raspy voice. Just pretty close to my own, actually.
So when you were introduced to the characters Applejack and Rainbow Dash, did you have a specific voice in mind for them?
Yeah, I guess, well, I just figured Rainbow Dash was kind of a tomboy and was very into showing off, and I think they wanted like a natural rasp in her voice, and I have that anyway, and she's got a lot of pizzazz, that one, so I just kind of went into that higher raspy range. And then with Applejack, I pitched her a lot higher for the audition, and I even in the first couple episodes of My Little Pony for the first season, like, if you notice, her voice is a lot higher in the first couple episodes, just because, I don't know, when you first get into the studio and you're like kind of finding the character, they can change a lot. And yeah, I definitely had to like kind of deepen her for the like, just to separate the two, because like Rainbow Dash is like up here, and then if Applejack was up here too, then it would drive me crazy, I think. So I just started exploring Applejack's voice, and yeah, director and the studio seemed to be fine with that. So it helps for me, for my sanity, when I'm doing scenes with myself, and especially to have that separation between the two of them.
Well, and I was going to say, there's an episode in season 1, I think it's called Over the Barrel, where you play Rainbow Dash, of course, Applejack, but then you also play, I think, Little Strongheart in that episode too. So you're playing 3 characters all in one episode. When you record those lines, are you recording them character by character separately, or do you kind of switch in between?
I usually just switch in between. Wait, Little Strongheart, that was the little buffalo, right?
Yeah.
That's actually played by Aaron Matthews. It wasn't me.
I'm going to just strangle IMDb because they failed me again. Yeah, okay, so it was played by who again?
It was played by Aaron Matthews. She plays, I don't know if you guys get Kid versus Cat over there, but it's pretty popular.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, she plays the kid on Kid versus Cat, the little boy. And she's been doing voice stuff for a while, but yeah, she played the buffalo, the little buffalo. I actually played a buffalo in that episode, I remember, because I got to do like a dude voice. And yeah.
You did? Oh, nice.
But yeah, I didn't play that buffalo. I played an older dude buffalo. But yeah, it can always get crazy when you're talking to yourself. But I mean, now I've learned to kind of like switch in between the two of them pretty flawlessly, I hope.
Do they get you doing a lot of incidental voices then?
Yeah, there's lots of like little characters that kind of pop up, and I think I played a nurse pony, a couple of nurse ponies, and I think I played like one of the dragons during that episode where Spike gets to hang out with those teenager dragons. Mm-hmm. There's always like extra characters in the script, so they kind of divvy them out amongst the girls and guys sometimes.
Do they just hand them out like cards, then say who wants them? Maybe put them in a hat or something?
Usually they have them worked out, and it's all kind of pre-decided who gets to play what. Like when, you get into the studio and it's like, oh, Ashleigh, you're obviously Rainbow Dash and Applejack, and then can you play Random Pony today? And you're like, okay, I get to play Random Pony, or whoever it is. It's fun.
So what's it like acting for both male and female voices?
it's great. It definitely like helps me get more jobs. I mean, like I started the first couple jobs I got as a voice actor were playing little boys. So it's definitely nice to play girls again, but I've gotten cast as quite a few little boys in the past.
Well, and you were at BronyCon in January, and during that panel there, you mentioned that you thought that being able to do a boy's voice would be a great way to start getting into the voice acting business, actually. Would you say that you worked more on getting your boy voices down before you started working on perfecting maybe the more female voices that you've worked on throughout your career?
I think it was something that kind of came to me, like, obviously Bart Simpson is played by a woman, and Tara Strong does a ton of little boy voices, and yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where you get cast as the little boy because they don't want to hire the little boy to do it necessarily, because kids are sometimes, hard to work with, or, the longevity of a character is hard to kind of get because little boys turn into men and their voices change. So yeah, I just had like my little boy voice that was kind of getting me parts and stuff. And then, yeah, it's nice to kind of get the opportunity to play more feminine roles. I've gotten cast as some like a lot more adult roles recently, which is kind of a change for me. But it's great. Just try to do as much as you can.
Well, and you've recently been in the show, I think it was Voltron, right? And then I think an Iron Man cartoon as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was Princess Allura in Voltron. And then, yeah, I played Black Widow in the new Iron Man series. I haven't seen that. I'd like to see it.
Well, she's kind of a badass character, too. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
I was surprised when I got cast for both of those because they're both more mature characters.
Would you say then that as your career has matured, so have your characters?
I suppose so, yes.
In the past, you've said that, at least for your Applejack, you've modeled her voice like off Dolly Parton. Would you say that you try to imitate the voice, or like you put your own spin on it?
Yeah, she's kind of halfway between Dolly Parton and Miley Ray Cyrus.
Would you say you're a Hannah Montana fan then?
I wouldn't say that, no. I wouldn't say that at all. I've never seen Hannah Montana.
Neither have I. You mentioned that, you kind of exaggerate the rasp in your voice. That's got to be straining. I mean, during the course of a day of recording for her, do you find that your throat kind of gets sore by the end of it? Or is that just something you can do naturally?
It kind of is something I learned to do. And I just have lots of water in the studio. I often drink like ginger tea. But yeah, it's something that my voice kind of does naturally. And I do have to push it sometimes, especially like during crazy scenes where she's like yelling at people or whatever. But
so like every episode.
Basically. So yeah, I've learned to kind of control it and hopefully keep on being able to make her sound like she does.
Aside from the actual vocal characterization of Rainbow Dash, are there any individuals in your life or any people that you've known that you kind of modeled her character off of? Because you definitely give her a certain energy that's really characteristic. It's probably why so many people think she's the best of the ponies. I know certain members of the EFR crew think that. Crescendo. But, are there any people then that kind of inspire you for her character?
I'm surrounded by a ton of awesome, strong women in my life. I'm super lucky. She's kind of a combo of like three of my best friends. They're just super kick-ass chicks and they don't really take from anyone and they're just super confident and like they know what they want out of life. And maybe I based her on them. And maybe a tinge of Demi Moore as well.
Well, one thing I've noticed, or at least I noticed over the course of season 2, is that Rainbow Dash's character kind of gets a little more aggressive over the course of the episodes. And I was going to ask, is that a result of the writing and the script, or have you been trying to maybe grow her character to be more aggressive like that?
I think it's probably a combination of both. I mean, when we entered the second season, the team behind MLP, they were kind of like, listen, you've got these characters and you've kind of found who they are and just, go deeper, go find out more about these characters and just trust in what you're doing. So it's definitely like a combination of the script for sure. And, the writers kind of figuring out more of what to do with the characters and also, the actors kind of putting their little tinges in there. It's fun to kind of grow with your character that you're playing.
Where do you see Applejack's character growing then? I mean, have you noticed any kind of trend? And of course, this is bearing in mind that it's limited by the script, but where have you tried to grow her character?
I think she's just like a super honest pony. And I think like just having her being this really kind of vulnerable, honest, sweet, but really strong pony. I don't know, that's just kind of where she sits. And yes, I'm just trying to tried to be true to those parts of her.
I guess I have to mention that you are one of the few voice actresses on the show who actually sings the parts for your characters as well. And I wanted to know what that recording process is like when you're working with, for example, I think her name is Shannon, who does Pinkie Pie's singing. Do you sing in the same space with those other musicians? And does that bring a different dynamic to the character interactions during those, those musical scenes?
Yeah, a lot of the time we're together in the room, depending on who's singing the song. It's super fun. Shannon's an amazing singer. She's a good friend of mine. And yeah, it's cool that she's doing the singing for Pinkie. Andrea does do the singing for Fluttershy, which is really nice. It suits her voice a little more, I think. She's got this like really soft singing voice. But yeah, it's always a challenge to learn the musical numbers and to try and sing in your character's voice and try and sing these songs and sound like your character. I don't know, like a lot of the time I like slip into my own singing voice or something like that, but it's always a blast doing the songs. And they're always really well written. Obviously, Daniel Ingram knows what he's doing, so.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think that the season finale definitely proved that.
Oh, I just said, wasn't the finale awesome?
Oh my god. I think the entire fandom, at least among the Bronies I know, they're all ranking it as their favorite episode ever, and they're still geeking out over it.
Sweet.
Now, we know that Applejack hasn't had any singing roles really throughout the 2 seasons. But there is one song that comes to mind where both Rainbow Dash and Applejack sing, and that's at the gala. What was that like singing for you, playing both characters?
It was super fun. It was kind of hard to sing some of the, if I remember playing some of the parts for Rainbow Dash, because I guess they kind of wanted her to sound pretty, and I was having a hard time making her sound pretty because she's like got that pretty voice and like trying to hit some of the notes, being like, wah! Like she wouldn't sound that great, but yeah, so it was a challenge to sing like British. Applejack is, I think, a lot closer to my normal singing voice. Like I'm an alto, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's just kind of like me with an accent, so country me. So yeah, it's always a challenge, but it's always a lot of fun, and yeah, especially when you sing something and then they animate to your voice afterwards, and you get to watch. It's awesome.
Do you actually watch the show then when it comes out on TV? Do you kind of make a point to watch that at all, or?
Yeah. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't think I've seen every episode, but I usually just watch them on YouTube, and I'll just find them, and it's so satisfying. Like, you often forget what exactly happens in the episode, and just because, we've done so many recordings, so it's really satisfying for me to see, like, how the animators chose to animate each scene, and, like, what all the extra characters look like in all the episodes. So, yeah, I'm a bit of a brony myself, you might say.
Oh my. Have you dragged anybody else to watch the show with you?
Yeah. I get in trouble from my boyfriend. He's like, "Are you watching cartoons again, Ash? Like, you're an adult." I've tried to get my boyfriend to watch My Little Ponies with me, but he doesn't really tolerate it. I think he's watched one episode and he was like, "Okay, that's enough. I've seen enough." And then, I've gotten a couple band members to watch it.
Well, and you can always, of course, pull the guilt card. Hey, come on, it's me in the show, right?
Oh, come on. And I watch it with my niece sometimes. So she's only 2, but she's so the whole like I'm the pony doesn't really resonate with her. She doesn't really get it. No, I'm like, like that's me. I'm that pony. That's my voice. And she's just like, "No, Ashley, no." She like doesn't understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's super fun to watch the episodes. And I thought the season finale was kick-ass.
I think that may even be an understatement. People are just... it was amazing. I was blown away by it. I think the entire Bronydom, if that's a word, definitely was blown away by that episode.
I actually just worked with Britt McKillop today on another series, and I watched the episode on the weekend, and I was like, "Britt, you did such a rad job of cadence." Like, she just sounded so great. Her voice was perfect. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And, of course, Andrew Francis as the charming prince, or Shining Armor, I guess. Yeah, Shining Armor. He was great.
An appropriate name, too, right?
Yes.
What's it been like for you working with the other MLP cast members? I mean, we've talked to a lot of them now, and they all say the same thing, it seems, that the dynamic there in Vancouver is just really positive and really promotes mutual creativity. I was just wondering what you thought on that.
Yeah, it's an amazing community of voice actors, like just breaking into the scene, I guess, about like 5 years ago, and kind of learning from a lot of these people that are just like so incredible, and kind of working my way up and getting cast as more characters and getting more series has been a crazy journey for me, because I'm just like, what am I, like, how am I even getting these roles? But it's a really positive place to work, and yeah, everyone's so awesome. There's a lot of really, really talented and crazy voice actors out there in Vancouver. It's a treat to go into work every day and get to like hang out with these awesome people and yeah, voice ponies. It's quite a lucky lady, I feel like sometimes.
So you've been voice acting for about 5 years now. Who would you say your voice acting models are?
I grew up watching The Simpsons. That was like one of my favorite cartoons growing up. So I guess I'd have to say Nancy Cartwright, and Hank Azaria is amazing. I don't know if I really had when I grew up in the 80s, like when I was little, I was watching cartoons, and I didn't really think about that. Like you never really like thought about the voice actors behind the cartoons. Yeah, it's cool now that you can just kind of find out who they are with IMDb and all that. Like it's easy to just like find out about people. But I guess I just have to say like the women I work with. Tabitha St. Germain is incredible. She blows me away every day. She's so great. And yeah, Kathy and Nicole as well. And yeah, who else? Oh, Kathleen Barr. One of my first series I ever got was working with Kathleen Barr, and she kind of like showed me the way. I remember like working my first voiceover job and like not knowing my ass from my elbow, and like being in there with like my headphones, and like I had like jewelry on that was rattling and making paper notes during the takes. And Kathleen, this is what you got to do. And she like totally took me under her wing, and she's incredible. So just like a lot of really awesome females in Vancouver in the scene here.
I definitely agree that you tend to appreciate the voice actors more when you grow older.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to throw in there, too, that as a veteran of the late 80s, early 90s, it really seems like that period was almost a golden age for the after-school cartoons. You know, you had Batman, you had Spider-Man, but you also had, like, the Disney afternoon. It seems like there's now a trend, or at least for My Little Pony, that it's got that feel, you know? It's got that quality after-school cartoon feel to it. Do you think that's because the voice actors and the artists that have been working on these programs kind of grew up in that environment?
Maybe. That could be part of it. I definitely like remember running home from school and watching like Looney Tunes and Animaniacs and Rescue Rangers. I loved Rescue Rangers and...
Yes. Oh, I love those shows.
What was the one with Tailspin and the other Disney one?
DuckTales, maybe?
Yeah, DuckTales. Woo! Yeah, DuckTales I was super in love with. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. Having that influence in our lives.
Oh man, my favorite by far was Darkwing Duck, just gonna say, but
so good.
I know. And of course they reference it in the show with Ne'er-Do-Well. I mean, that costume was almost spot on.
Oh yeah. Weird. I never thought about that. So funny.
Well, and I was going to then ask about your acting interactions with Tara Strong, because we know that she's the one voice actress who's actually in LA and not up in Vancouver. I was going to ask, have you guys ever met in person ever to do any kind of recording, or is it usually that you say receive a recording of her lines and then work off of that? I mean, how does that dynamic work?
We met Tara once. And it was in the first season. They flew her up and she came in to record one episode with us. I think it was just kind of to like introduce her to the cast. But yeah, the rest of the episodes have just been recorded by us going in the studio, like the main cast going in Vancouver. And then I guess they record her afterwards in LA. So all her lines are done after the main cast does it. So we rarely hear from Tara. Like we're never online with her or everything's done separately, which is weird. I guess it's what has to happen, but it's just like a strange thing where we're all, on the same page and doing all this stuff together and working together and interacting and all that. And then she's totally separate, which is, it's normal. Like a lot of series are done like that. And a lot of the times, like if I miss an episode because I'm away or something, like I'll have to pick it up and just do the same thing where I record by myself, or, a lot of other actresses have to do that. But yeah, it's too bad that we can't all be in the same place, but it seems to work okay.
Speaking of Tara Strong's online presence, I don't know if you're aware, but she's very prominent on Twitter. Have you heard about this?
No, I have not. I don't tweet myself. I do some stuff with the band, like we do some Hey Ocean tweets, but I don't have a Ashleigh Ball Twitter account, unfortunately.
I can assure you that if you ever set one up, you would have followers instantly. Tara's definitely been active on Twitter, sending out messages almost daily to Bronies all over the place. She's been doing a lot of vocal tweets, and just, we've been asking some people whether they've seen that, some of the production staff, if they've seen that and just what their reaction is to it, because she's been very, very prominent in the social media scene doing that. She even has a hashtag. I think it's TwilightLicious.
Oh, crazy.
I know, she's kind of crazy like that. Has there really been a major difference in how you record for My Little Pony as opposed to how you've recorded for the other programs you've done before and after? Like, is it the same process for Pony as it is for, say, Voltron or Iron Man, or is it kind of a different sort of recording schedule, as it were?
No, it's all like standard sort of voice work. You get together with your cast in the studio, you joke around, make fart jokes or whatever, and then you get going and you record the episode in a couple hours or an afternoon or a morning or whatever. And it's pretty awesome.
Do you feel that the dynamic, especially for, say, a show like Voltron, where you're playing a more maybe serious or more mature character, do you feel that the acting dynamic in the room is different as opposed to, necessarily the process?
One thing I've noticed for sure is the female to male difference. Like when you're in a room with all, on Voltron, it's like basically all male characters. So there's a lot of testosterone and like it's just a different energy completely. And then with My Little Pony, it's like primarily female characters. So it's like this kind of cool feminine energy and like we're all talking about our periods or whatever. Just kidding. But there's like a certain energy that comes along with like being in a room full of women. So, sometimes, or I guess Peter New gets a taste of that when he's on the show, or Brian Drummond. It's usually like just a really cool way to spend your day.
Well, and I get the feeling that when Lee Tokar shows up, he just kind of breezes in, makes everyone laugh and just breezes out.
Yeah, he's a treasure, that guy.
He's a hoot and a holler, I think is the way he described himself.
You've also done work on a live-action dubbing of the movie Death Note. Now, that's actually not a cartoon for once. What was the difference between that and, say, MLP?
Well, the dubbing work is pretty isolated. Like you just go into a booth and you're looking at a screen and you basically have to like match the voice of the character that you're dubbing for. So it's not all that fun, to be honest. It's a great gig. Like it's a really cool learning experience and it's something I do in the future. But yeah, it's not my favorite. Like I'm not a big fan of being alone in a studio. It's sad. I like being surrounded by people.
You like making the fart jokes?
I like fart jokes. Totally, man. Yeah. And it's just like, it's just a totally different experience. It's definitely something that I could potentially do more of, but it doesn't come up a lot.
Well, I'm going to get to the question I think a lot of Bronies are interested in your answer to, which is, when did you find out about Bronies?
The first time I heard about Bronies was actually through one of my bandmates, Dave Bertessi, who I guess like noticed a lot of people on our YouTube account making comments, and then like he found out about Bronies online, and yeah, it was just kind of a bizarre thing that I was like, what do you mean Brony? He's like, well, haven't you like looked at our YouTube account? And I was like, well, not really, like what are you talking about? And then I became fast aware of the Brony culture and all the people who are quite involved in following My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
Well, I know you're running out of time. I just have one quick question for you then. Of the stuff that you've seen online or of the Bronyverse then, what are some of the favorite things that you've seen? Like, is there any artwork or any music that you've heard that you really enjoyed?
There's this really crazy cartoon thing that I've seen. A friend of mine pointed it out. The Hot Diggity Demon video, or a couple of the videos that he's done. And I was pretty blown away. Like, I'm a huge lover of Ren and Stimpy, and it just totally reminded me of that style of animation. And a lot of it's pretty gory, and especially the one in the shed one. Like, that stuck with me for a day or something.
Yeah.
But that guy's got some crazy going on in his brain. And I think it's great. It's like really well animated and really twisted. And yeah, pretty cool in my mind.
Well, I'll just make one recommendation real quick and I'll let you go. I recommend Epic Wub Time, Epic Pie Time, Epic Cupcake Time. They're 3 films by the same guy. Fan animation. Features Rainbow Dash and Applejack, so definitely worth a watch, and they're really popular as well. So
I'll check it out for sure.
Well, Ashleigh Ball is the voice actress of Rainbow Dash and Applejack, and it's been a real honor and a pleasure to have you today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Hey, no worries. I will be running off now to a band tweeting conference or something.
There's this band you're in, isn't there, called like Hey Ocean or something? Hey, no, it's Hey C. That's what it is.
No, it's Hey Ocean, and I'm going to do a Twitter chat right now online. But yeah, thanks for interviewing me, and I'm sure I'll see you around.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
No worries. Talk to you guys later.
This has been Crescendo.
And once again, this has been Final Draft, and you've been listening to Everfree Radio.